JBNN keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones, and in the news, man attempting to rob supermarket shot by soldier. A man who attempted to rob a supermarket in downtown Montego Bay, St. James on Tuesday night, was shot by an off-duty Jamaica Defence Force soldier and remains in hospital under police guard. It is reported that about 8:40 p.m., the man went to Tiger Supermarket along St. James Street and held the operators at gunpoint. It was challenged by the soldier. During an exchange of gunfire, the man was shot. The scene was visited by the police, who seized an illegal gun. The injured man was taken to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where he was admitted under police guard. Businessman shot in St. Catherine attempted robbery. A businessman was this afternoon shot by a gunman in Berkshire Hall District, Redwood, St. Catherine, during an attempted robbery. It is reported that about 12:40 p.m., the businessman met with a man who ordered building materials from his business. The man reportedly excused himself to go for money to pay for the delivery. It is further reported that two men with guns emerged from nearby bushes and demanded that the businessman hand over his truck and the items. A struggle reportedly ensued between him and one of the gunmen. It is reported that his accomplice fired several shots which hit the businessman. The hoodlums then escaped. The injured businessman was taken to the Linstead Hospital for treatment. The Linstead police are investigating. Search on for a gunman following deadly attack in Clarendon. The police are searching for two gunmen following an attack which left one man dead and another injured in Mayfair and Clarendon on Monday night. The deceased has been identified as Lucian Beckford, a 25-year-old labourer of Evans Street in Denby, Clarendon. Reports state that about 8:15 p.m., four people at an establishment on Evans Street when two armed men entered. The gunmen fired shots, sending the patrons running in different directions. The gunmen then escaped. Beckford's body was later found with what appeared to be gunshot wounds. The injured person was taken to hospital and admitted. St. Catherine selector killed in road crash. A music selector was killed while riding a motorcycle along St. John's Road in St. Catherine on Tuesday evening. He has been identified by his alias Smokey and is reportedly of a Spanish Town address. It's reported that about 6 p.m., Smokey was riding his motorcycle along the roadway when he lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a truck and a motor car. He was hit from the motorbike and died from the multiple injuries he received. Man injured in $50 dispute in Clarendon. A dispute over $50 by two men in Rock River, Clarendon on Sunday, has left one hospitalized and the other being sought by police. Injured is a 49-year-old farmer from the district, while on the run is a man known only as Handful. It was reported that around 9 a.m., the two men had a dispute over $50. During the dispute, the police said a machete was used to chop the farmer on his neck and right middle finger, causing serious wounds. The injured man was transported to the Maple Hospital by a relative and later transferred to another hospital where he was admitted in serious condition. Police have since launched a manhunt for a Handful, who they believe can assist in their investigations. Men caught on camera breaking into Manchester business charged. 6 men were arrested and charged with shopbreaking and larceny after they were caught on surveillance camera breaking into a business establishment in Cristiano, Manchester on Friday, April 14. Charged are 26-year-old Corey Simpson, otherwise called Tallman, a farmer of New Green District in Manchester. 35-year-old Kewayne Foster, otherwise called Sauce, of Kiora Avenue, Georges Valley in Manchester. 37-year-old Elvis McIntosh, otherwise called Curtis, a painter of Amden Land in Trelawney. 32-year-old Odin Forbes, a construction worker of Newtown in Black River, St. Elizabeth. 27-year-old Romain Smith, otherwise called Brownman, a taxi operator of Scottstown District in Manchester. And 50-year-old Hugh Foster of Coleyville in Manchester. Reports from the Cristiano police are that the owner of the business establishment securely locked her business and left. Later that day, she viewed the security cameras and saw several men breaking into the place. The police were called, and the men were seen in a Toyota Succeed motor car fleeing the scene. They were intercepted, taken into custody and subsequently charged. Their court date is being finalized. Caribbean leaders agree on plan to ban assault-style weapons. Caribbean community leaders have agreed on plans to introduce bans in their countries on assault-style weapons, mostly manufactured in the U.S., to curb spikes in gun violence and weapon smuggling in the 15-nation CARICOM bloc. The decision came late Tuesday at the end of a 2-day summit in Trinidad on crime. The bans would require a mix of legislation and changes in licensing regulations. The Caribbean leaders have called a roundtable on the issue amid complaints from several governments about an increasing gangland violence, bolstered by the availability of high-powered, military-style weapons smuggled mostly from the U.S. Jamaica, Trinidad, the Bahamas, St. Lucia and Barbados have all complained about an increase in gun murders in recent years. CARICOM mates have agreed today to take a decision to ban the use and presence of assault weapons in the civilian population of our nations, host Prime Minister Keith Woolley told reporters at the end of the summit, attended by a majority of heads of government. The move came just a few weeks after several member nations announced plans to join with Mexico to sue American gun manufacturers of the weapons smuggled into their countries. Bahamian Prime Minister and CARICOM Chairman Philip Davis told the summit that in his country, 98.6% of recovered illegal firearms could be traced to the United States. In Haiti, 87.7%, and in Jamaica, 67%. Jamaica had a staggering homicide rate of 52.9 per 100,000 inhabitants, he said, as compared with a global average of about 7.5 per 100,000. However, Davis did not have figures on what percentage of the seized guns were assault-style weapons, as opposed to handguns or other weapons that would be unaffected by this week's proposed ban. Woolley said countries in the Caribbean would need legislation to support the ban, and he called on opposition parties throughout the region to support any parliamentary action by their governments. He noted that the Caribbean leaders have asked U.S. President Joe Biden for dialogue on the weapons issue. Nearly 1,000 arrested for various schemes over the last 5 years as billions go missing. Nearly 3,000 complaints of fraud involving more than $6 billion have been reported to the Jamaican police in the last 5 years, new figures have revealed. The disclosure comes amid a flurry of multi-million-dollar fraud cases uncovered at several private companies, topped by the billion-dollar fraud at the investment firm Stocks and Securities Limited. Between 2018 and last year, 2,932 cases of fraud involving 2.7 billion Jamaican dollars, $30.5 million US dollars, and 220,000 pounds were reported to the police's Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Division, officials disclosed on Monday. The complaints led to a total of 805 arrests. Last year alone, the police say there were 789 fraud-related complaints involving 414 million Jamaican dollars and 20 million US dollars. Banking giants National Commercial Bank and Sagicor Group, manufacturing and distribution conglomerate Separate Group, and fast food franchise Burger King are among the companies rocked by allegations of employee theft. Last week, the police filed fraud-related charges against 14 of 17 current and former employees of Separate who were accused of defrauding the company of approximately $160 million. A week earlier, the Burger King outlet in Harbourview, St. Andrew, which opened almost 4 months ago, was rocked by a $10 million fraud. 5 employees, including a supervisor, have been arrested and charged. While underscoring the importance of observing the due process to protect the rights of workers, Mitri Siaga, president of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, said it is also difficult for companies when employees are caught red-handed stealing or fighting. When an employee wrongs the company, the long-term impact on the company's progression from the incident results in some employers being gun-shy when they are hiring people, Siaga said. Companies are afraid to hire people and to invest in them and to train them. David Wan, president of the Jamaica Employees Federation, suggested that the impact was greater for small businesses who are hard hit by wrongdoers and are most times unable to recover because of limited resources. These entities, Wan said, would find it very costly to replace the money or valuables stolen in addition to recruiting new employees. He said that the possible long-term impact of such damaging actions would result in companies becoming financially unstable and ultimately jeopardize the employment of others. Employee morale can also be affected if the company suffering fraud losses tighten security and monitoring of all employees after suffering fraud, said Wan. A total of 541 fraud complaints were reported to the police in 2018 involving 705 million Jamaican dollars, 2.6 million US dollars, and 79,000 pounds, according to the police data. Some 121 people were arrested on fraud-related charges that year. The following year, the police say 197 people were arrested on charge arising from 620 complaints involving 644 million Jamaican dollars, $5.6 million and £29,000. The number of fraud-related complaints declined in 2020 as Jamaica grappled with the outbreak of the coronavirus before they started to inch up again, the data shows. There were 352 complaints that year involving 485 million Jamaican dollars, $1.1 million and £87,000 with 125 arrests. But by 2021, the number of complaints began creeping up to pre-COVID levels, with 620 reported cases involving 430 million Jamaican dollars, $1.2 million and £5,556. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.